In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a realistic, high-quality Photoshop apparel mockup that works perfectly with the Mockee.io platform. The techniques I'm about to show you will also help if you're simply looking to learn how to create a standard Photoshop mockup, but I'll be focusing on Mockee.io, since we need to follow specific file sizes and naming conventions. Let's get started. First, when we open our image in Photoshop, we need to make sure it's the correct size. Mockee accepts files that are no wider or taller than 3,000 pixels. To check this, go to Image, Image Size, or press Option plus Command plus I on a Mac, or Control plus Alt plus I on Windows. In my case, the image is 4,322 by 4,429 pixels, so both the width and height are too big. You could crop the image if you want, but we're simply going to resize it. I'll take the larger number, in this case the height, and change it to 3,000. The width will update automatically. Now the image is within the range accepted by Mockee. Click OK. Now we need to prepare an area where users will place their designs. You can just eyeball it, but what I recommend is going to your print provider's website. I'm using Printify, so I'll go there and find my product. In this case, the Comfort Colors 1566 sweatshirt. Then click Start Designing. Usually, you'll see the recommended resolution for the design, and you'll also get a visual of where the print area sits on the sweatshirt. This helps us replicate the print area accurately in our mockup. As you can see, the recommended design resolution is 4,494 by 5,100 pixels. Let's go back to Photoshop. Click File, New, and type in those exact values from Printify. Now click Create. We've now created an empty file with the exact proportions and resolution recommended by Printify. This will serve as our design placeholder. But remember, Mockee has a size limit for design areas as well. Just like before, the design file cannot be taller or wider than 3,000 pixels. So we need to resize it. Go again to Image, Image Size. Change the larger number, in this case the height, to something smaller. We could go all the way down to 3,000, but that's unnecessary since the design on the actual sweatshirt isn't that large. So instead, let's set the height to 2,000 pixels. The width will update automatically. You can choose a different value depending on your mockup, but keep in mind, smaller files process faster on Mockee. So if you don't need a huge placeholder, it's better to keep it slightly smaller. Click OK. Next, we need to create a layer that will stand out clearly against our gray sweatshirt. I like to use orange, but you can choose any bright, vivid color that gives good contrast. Select the Paint Bucket tool and fill the entire area with your chosen color. Now select the whole canvas, either by dragging a selection around it or simply pressing Command plus A on a Mac or Control plus A on Windows. Then go to Edit, Copy to copy our placeholder. Let's go back to our mockup and paste it in. Use Edit, Paste, or press Command plus V on a Mac or Control plus V on Windows. Right now, our placeholder is just sitting on top of the image. We still need to position it and warp it so it matches the shape of the sweatshirt. But before we do any of that, we have to convert this layer into a smart object. Go to Layer, Smart Objects, Convert to Smart Object. Now the placeholder is fully editable. We can scale it, warp it, distort it, whatever we need. And at any time, we can simply double-click the layer to open the original file. Let's test it. Paint a quick smiley face and hit File, Save. Now go back to the mockup, and you'll see the smiley face appear instantly with all the transformations we already applied. This is exactly how users will place their designs inside the mockup. Everything we set up in the next steps will automatically apply to whatever artwork they drop into this Smart Object layer. Let's remove our face, and we can also close our empty orange layer now. With the orange layer selected, press Command+T on a Mac or Control+T on Windows to enter free transform mode. Now you can move it, scale it, and position it anywhere you want. Let's switch back to Printify and take another look at how the print area sits on the real sweatshirt. We'll try to replicate that placement as closely as possible. Back in Photoshop, I'll scale the placeholder down, rotate it slightly, and by holding Option on a Mac or Alt on Windows and dragging a corner, we can gently distort the shape to match the perspective. Once you're happy with the placement, press Enter to confirm the transformation. Before we move on, let's do a little housekeeping. You can name your layers however you like, except for our orange Smart Object layer. This one needs to be named exactly Design with a capital D. That's the name Mockee looks for when processing the file. To change layer name, just double-click on its name. And for the background layer, we can call it something simple, like BG. All right, much cleaner. Let's lower the opacity of the design layer so we can see the sweatshirt underneath more clearly. Something around 20% works for me, but use whatever feels comfortable. Now go to Edit, Transform, and choose Warp. At the top, you'll see different grid options. Mockee works with any of the built-in grids, but do not add custom points. If you do, Mockee will throw an error, so stick to the default grids that come with Photoshop. I like to start with the default grid because it's great for rough shaping. Here, I'm just trying to give the design a natural 3D look, like it's actually wrapping around the fabric. I'm not worrying about small creases or fine details yet. Once the general shape looks right, I switch to a more refined grid, like 5x5. Now I can follow the smaller folds and align the grid more precisely to the material. I'm going to bring the design layer's opacity back up for a second. You can see we need to mask out anything that sits in front of the design. In this case, her sleeve and some of her hair. First, let's duplicate the BG layer. Right-click the layer and choose Duplicate Layer. Let's name the new layer FG for foreground. Now, drag it to the very top of your Layers panel. There are several ways to handle masking, but I like to use the Quick Selection tool. If you don't see it, click and hold on this icon, then choose Quick Selection tool from the drop-down. Start painting over the sleeve to create a selection. Hold Shift to add to the selection. And if you accidentally go too far, like I just did here, hold Alt on Windows or Option on Mac to subtract from it. Once you're happy with the selection, I like to clean it up a bit. Go to Select, Modify, Smooth, and smooth the edges lightly. Around 3 pixels works well, and the edge looks less jagged. Now, at the bottom of the Layers panel, click the Layer Mask icon. You'll see a black and white thumbnail appear next to your image. Remember, black hides and white reveals. You can refine this mask anytime by simply painting on it with black or white. That's exactly what we're going to do now. First, click the chain icon between the FG layer and its mask to unlink them. Then, click directly on the mask thumbnail to make sure you're editing the mask, not the image. I'll lower the opacity of the design layer again so I can see the edges more clearly. With the mask selected, choose the brush tool and paint with white or black to refine the edge. In my case, the mask came out a little too feathered, so I'm sharpening it up to get a more defined edge. Now let's take care of the hair. First, duplicate the BG layer again. You can right-click and choose Duplicate Layer, or press Command+J on Mac Ctrl+J on Windows. Name this one FG2 and drag it to the top of the layer stack. We'll try masking the hair with the Object Selection tool. Click and hold on the Selection tool icon, then choose Object Selection tool from the drop-down. This is an AI-powered selection, so just click anywhere on the model and Photoshop will think for a moment. You'll see the selection highlighted in a violet overlay. When it finishes, try to select the hair area. If the tool correctly isolates the hair, hit the Layer Mask icon at the bottom of the Layers panel to create the black and white mask. That worked nicely for me, but it's normal to tidy the mask by hand afterwards. So switch to the brush tool with the mask selected and paint with black or white to refine edges where needed. I'm going to speed this part up, since every image and every situation will be a little different. Great! Now the hair sits naturally in front of the design. If you're confident that your foreground layers are finished, we can merge them together. First, right-click on each layer mask and choose Apply Layer Mask. This will lock in the masking permanently. Now, select both of your foreground layers, FG and FG2, then go to Layer, Merge Layers. This gives us one clean foreground layer, ready for the next steps. You can skip this step, but it will reduce file size and mockup will work faster this way. We've done a lot of steps, and the mockup still looks flat and kind of disappointing. But trust me, this next step will change everything. We need to transfer the shadows and highlights from the sweatshirt onto the design sitting on top of it. And for that, we'll use the Multiply blending mode. Let me quickly show you how Multiply works. On the top layer, I have stripes of black, gray, and white, and our orange layer underneath. When we switch the top layer to Multiply, notice what happens. White becomes completely transparent, and the darker we go, the more it darkens the orange layer. This is exactly what we need for a realistic mock-up. We want the areas with shadows to darken the design, and the areas without shadows to stay bright. But there's a problem. How do we extract those shadows and highlights from a dark gray, textured sweatshirt? If the shirt were white, this would be easy. But this one is dark, and we don't want the fabric texture to overpower the printed area. I used to do this with a mix of manual painting, blurring, and a bunch of different techniques. But now, with generative AI, it's much simpler. Select the entire image, or just the area with the sweatshirt, and choose Generative Fill from the pop-up. Now switch the model from Firefly to Flux Context by clicking the icon to the right of the prompt box. Then type the prompt. Change sweatshirt color to plain white, and click Generate. Photoshop will think for a moment, and just like magic, we get a new layer with a clean, white sweatshirt instead of the dark gray one. Perfect. This is exactly what we need for the next step. With the new generative layer selected, use your selection tool to draw a selection around the design area. I like to include a bit of extra margin. That way, if we need to adjust the warp later, we've got some wiggle room. With the area selected, press Command+J on Mac or Control+J on Windows to create a new layer from that selection. We can now delete the full generative layer since we don't need it anymore. Next, move the new layer above the design layer and rename it to Shadows to keep things neat and organized. Now we need to remove any color from this layer. Go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate, or simply press Command+Shift+U on Mac or Control+Shift+U on Windows. This gives us a clean grayscale image. Now select our Shadows layer. Hold Option on Mac or Alt on Windows and click right between the Shadows layer and the layer below it. You'll see a small arrow appear to the left of the layer thumbnail. That means this layer will only affect the pixels of the layer directly beneath it. Let me show you what that means. I'll double-click the design layer, paint a quick smiley face with a transparent background, save it, and return to the mockup. As you can see, the white layer only affects the visible parts of the design, nothing outside of it. Let's undo that and go back to our orange placeholder. Now, with the shadows layer selected, we're going to change the blending mode to multiply. And just like that, all the shadows from the sweatshirt are beautifully cast onto our orange layer. This is the moment when the mockup finally starts looking realistic. We can refine it even further using levels. Go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. If the overall effect looks too dark, you can move the right slider inward to brighten the highlights. That basically tells Photoshop, keep the brightest areas white, so those areas won't darken the design too much. Adjust it by eye and choose what looks most realistic for your specific mockup. We're done, right? Not yet. Let's think ahead. What if a user wants to showcase a very dark design? Maybe even pure black? I'll change our orange placeholder to black so we can see what happens. Yeah, not very realistic anymore. This is why we also need highlights. To do that, we'll use another blending mode called Screen. Let me quickly show you how Screen works. We'll use the same stripes, black, gray, and white. But this time, set the top layer to Screen instead of Multiply. See what happens? Black becomes completely transparent, and anything brighter than black starts to lighten the orange layer underneath. White becomes pure white. This is perfect for bringing back shine and highlights on dark designs. Because our sweatshirt is dark, we can easily extract the highlights from the original photo. But if you're working with a light-colored shirt, you can reverse the process. Just generate a dark-colored sweatshirt using generative fill, the same way we generated a white one for the shadows layer earlier. Okay, let's duplicate our background layer. Right-click on the layer and choose Duplicate Layer. We'll call this one Highlights. Move it above the shadows layer. Right now, the entire layer is selected, but we don't need all that information. So let's select only the area around the design. Then go to Select, Inverse to invert the selection, and press Delete. This step isn't required, but it does help reduce the file size by removing unused pixels. Next, just like we did with the shadows layer, press and hold Alt on Windows or Option on Mac, and click between the layers. This will clip the highlights layer to the layer below. And since the shadows layer is also clipped to the layer under it, we can stack them on top of each other and they will keep working as intended. Now we need to desaturate the highlights layer. Go to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. Now our layer is desaturated. When we switch it to screen mode, nothing changes. And that's good, because we have a black design underneath. Next, we need to adjust it so it looks exactly the way we want our full black design to appear. Go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. Moving the left slider to the right will remove detail in the darker areas, making the darkest parts of the image pure black. I'll move it slightly, then move the middle slider to the right to darken the entire image. Adjust it until it looks like a black design with some light shining on it. You can see that we have nice highlights here, and in the shadow areas, everything stays pure black. That looks good to me. When we switch back to the orange design, you can see that our highlights layer also brightens the areas that are in full sun. Looks great! Let's check how our mockup looks with a real design. I have this cartoon astronaut artwork. I'll select it and copy it by going to Edit and Copy. Now I'll go back to our mockup, double-click the design layer, and paste it. using Command plus V or Control plus V. I'll delete our orange layer since we don't need it anymore. Go to Image and click Save. This saves all the changes inside the design layer itself. When we return to the mockup, you can see the astronaut is now correctly displayed on the sweatshirt. You can move the design around inside the design layer and the mockup will update automatically. I'll move it slightly higher. Save. Looks great. You can see how nicely the highlights work. It's especially noticeable on the darker parts of the design, like inside the helmet, and the shadows look great on the brighter areas. The mockup is basically done and already looks realistic, but I like to add one more thing. I'll select my BG layer and select the area around the design. By pressing Command plus J on Mac or Control plus J on Windows, we create a new layer from that selection. This is much faster than duplicating the entire layer and removing unnecessary pixels like we did earlier. I'll move this new layer above the highlights layer and rename it to Texture. Don't forget to Alt-click or Option-click between the layers to clip it to the layers below. Now go to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate. Then I'll change the blending mode of this layer to Multiply. This gives us just a little bit of the material texture showing through the design. Right now it's too dark, so let's go to Levels using the shortcut Command plus L or Control plus L. I'll move the right slider to the left, just underneath this little hill. That brightens the highlights without losing too much detail. Then move the middle slider to the left to brighten the overall image. This looks nice. We now have a subtle texture of the material on top of the design. I like to lower the opacity of this layer even more so it stays very subtle. And now we're done! You can save this mockup as a PSD file, upload it to Mockee, share it with print-on-demand entrepreneurs around the world, and earn some money. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. See you!